What's going on YouTube? Got another video for you here today, and this is one of my favorite builds I've ever done. It is by far the best melee build I've ever done, but this build is just crazy. The damage is crazy, bossing, mapping, everything. Survivability is good. It's not super tanking, your face tanking Ubers and stuff like that, but you know, you are able to take some hits and you know, beat all the Uber bosses and do all that kind of stuff. You know, we went through and finished most of our challenges here. We're still working on the last couple. We haven't done these ones yet, but you know, we've done all the Uber boss, you know, challenges and all that kind of stuff on this build, so it feels really good. And yeah, so we're doing dual strike of ambidexterity, and we are doing a elemental version. Originally I started with an impale version, which felt pretty good, but the damage really kind of took off when I went to elemental, and then it really took off when I moved over to omniscience. So what I'll do is I'm gonna show you just a quick showcase. We're gonna hop into a map and run at least a bit of one so you can see, and then we'll kind of get into the build. There were some clips initially on the front end, so you kind of got an idea of, you know, the looting super nice. You get a lot of stuff. You can run super juiced maps. This is a T17, and then we're going to be running strongbox, so we'll just jump into this real quick, do a quick little showcase, and then we'll kind of get into the build and, you know, a quick easy way to craft a body armor and all that kind of stuff. So build feels good. As you can see, you know, T17 is no problem. You know, we are on headhunter, which we actually use for, you know, all of the content. You know, we don't switch belts over for bosses and stuff like that. You know, you probably could to get a little bit more survivability and stuff like that, but you know, it's not necessary. So you know, as you can see, build feels good, just destroys, and you know, as the headhunter gets going, it gets really crazy. So you know, yeah, again, like this build, this is one of my favorite builds I've ever done. I'm super happy with it. And you know, we're gonna push it a little bit further, but there's not much else we can do to you know. Oh hey, there we go, a couple valdos. Let's pop those real quick, see what we get. What do we get? Bramblejack, iron mass. I think those are anything. But you know, as you can see, again, headhunter just really gets this thing ripping, and headhunters are not super expensive this league, so they are attainable. You know, I think, you know, best in slot for bossing and stuff would probably be mageblood, but for mapping, you know, headhunter takes the cake, and you know, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna finish this map, and then I will I'll cut back to the actual build guide. So talk to you guys here in a sec. But you know, as you can see, you know, it's good money. We got 4 valdos. We opened them just because I'm not going to sell them. But then you also get the reality fragment. These are worth like a divine a piece, and you drop those a lot. So you know, it's the T17s are the way to go, and being able to farm them up, yeah, you can get rich pretty quick. You know, you get a ton of scarabs and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty good. But anyways, let's get into the build now. So we are using dual strike of ambidexterity. As you can see, you know, one of the nice things about the new melee is that you don't have to push a million buttons. We literally have our attack, we have our whirling blades, and then we have flame dash for when we need to, you know, dash over a gap or something like that. But generally speaking, you're just using your attack and whirling blades. And then getting into the gems, we use, well, you know what? Let's take a look at the POB real quick. So as you can see, we're at about 24 million damage per second. We have about 8 hits per second, so it's pretty crazy. Attack speed is absolutely nuts, and that kind of comes partially or large in part to quick and deadly. And just to kind of a general, the way that the build works is if you look at dual strike of ambidexterity, you get 70% more damage with main hand hits, and then it uses offhand attack time. So the goal is to have as much damage as you can out of your main weapon and as much attack speed as possible out of your secondary weapon. You also want to be using 2 different types of weapons, right? And which makes sense because, you know, sword, you get the paradoxica, which is just guaranteed double damage, and the pen and the crit and all that. And then claw has the highest base attack speed, so you stack attack speed there. And then other than that, it's just kind of, it's basically just a stat stick on your right hand side. And the way that dual strike works is it hits with both weapons at the same time in one strike. It's not alternating or anything like that, so you're always, you know, hitting with both weapons. So having the crazy attack speed here and then nice damage here, it's just, the hits are crazy. So then in our link, we're using elemental damage with attacks, awakened, obviously, as you know, once you have the money. Multi-strike, we do not have awakened multi-strike yet. They're insanely expensive. Ice bite, this gives us a ton of flat cold because we stack a bunch of frenzy charges. Awakened added lightning for flat lightning, and then increased critical damage. Before I moved over to omniscience, I was actually using where is it? We were using one of these, the Eternal Struggle. This is where we were getting a massive culling. You get the 15% instead of the 10, which we ended up moving culling over to our gloves. There's a couple options for culling. We have it on the gloves. You could also, as opposed to taking Endless Hunger, you could take Headsman. I'm on Endless Hunger just because, you know, I got lucky on my craft here on my gloves and hit culling strike, so we get our 10% culling strike here as opposed to the 20 from Headsman, just because, you know, with Endless Hunger you get the crazy attack speed while leeching, stun avoidance, unaffected by bleed, and then overkill damage leeches life. So the alternative would be to take Headsman, get rid of this, and then you would use Soul of the Brine King instead of Soul of Lunaris. We use Soul of Lunaris just because it's good, you know, damage mitigation and stuff. But if you need to get rid of the stun, also, you know, freeze and chill is on there. We're using Purity of Elements, so we don't have to worry about that. So this just made a little bit more sense for me, but you might see it done a little bit different on some other builds, so that is an option. So those are our 6 links there. As far as in our helmet, we have Wrath, level 3 Enlighten, and a Herald of Ice. And then, you know, Flame Dash just in its own little socket here. In our Claw, we have Enlighten level 3. Ideally, this would be a 4, but we just don't need it right this second. Eventually, that's what we'll do. Purity of Elements and Anger. In our boots, Faster Attacks, Whirling Blades, Rage Support, and Life Tap. This just allows us to spam Whirling Blades without having to use any of our mana, and then it also helps us generate some rage. We also generate rage on melee hit from the tree. We'll get into that. In our gloves, we have Automation, Assassin's Mark, Mark on Hit, and Steel Skin. So this just, again, is automated, and we don't have to do it. It just kind of rotates. As soon as the cooldown's over, it goes. In our weapon, our sword, we have Precision, Arrogance, and Enlighten, level 3 again. Again, we have 3 Enlightens, but they're all level 3s. Really the only one that would, I think, be beneficial to have a 4. Well, they would all be beneficial to have a 4, but most importantly here. So now that we've done that, we can kind of get into the items, and we'll start with this claw. Excuse me. As you can see, this is a fairly expensive item, just simply because that enchant is expensive. The melee strike skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets, about 20 divine to craft that on. The base itself, you know, we went with attack speed and crit strike multi. You are okay with just a standard Imperial Claw and get, you know, life on hit, you know, might be for some survivability. We're going a little more damage heavy and kind of scaling back on the survivability a little bit. With that being said, you know, we have a 56k see. Oh, we don't have the block recently. This goes up to about 100k because we use Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh to get determined survivors. So this gives us this helps us get a ton of the block there. So it's about 60k. That was I swapped it around a little bit. So again, 60k survivability, something like that. So it's not crazy. It's fairly low, but it's not, you know, as glass cannon-y as maybe like you know, one of the bow builds or something like that. It's still, and once you get the headhunter up and all that, you know, it feels pretty good. You know, we're at 77% damage mitigate physical damage, and we have 28% chance to evade attacks, and then our block is, you know, we're max on attack and close to block on spell. But let's get into the actual gear again. Sorry, got a little sidetracked. For our claw here, as you can see, we just have the main things we want here are attack speed and crit strike multi. The elemental damage with attacks is nice. That's just a little extra damage. But otherwise, we're just basically scaling our Enlighten. So we have the +1 to socketed gems and +2 to socketed support gems, which turns it into a level 6. And that just helps us with our mana reservation. And so that's that. Nothing crazy. Paradoxica, these are very, very cheap for these ones. With crit strike chance and Ellie Pen, 20 chaos. So this weapon is super, super cheap and affordable. This is really where you're going to be spending your currency, is on your claw. Sword is, you just go grab it, you know. Body armor, so this is what we're using here. That flat crit strike chance is huge, and then we just, because we're on omniscience, we have a bunch of, you know, we have flat decks and percent decks. Life, we got lucky on that, and then we just crafted percent life and all that. And just so you know, the way that we are crafting these are, let's just grab a base. All you have to do, it's super easy, super simple. Get yourself some blue juice, come in here, crit. And on a shaper base, it is guaranteed to hit that critical strike chance. It's just a matter of whether you hit T1 or T2, and then you just kind of hit it until you hit some desirable stats. Like this one, for what we're using, that's perfect. You know, we got the T1, we got flat, you know, additional physical damage reduction and a big strength roll. So that, you know, for if you're using omniscience, that would be real nice. And then we would come in and just, you know, craft life or whatever, and then boom, now you have a flat crit chance chest. So super simple to craft and very, very powerful. So this is what you're going to want to do. It kind of helps you save some points in the tree, taking percent crit strike chance, just because, you know, we don't really, you know, if you're using hatred, you can use Watcher's Eye, stuff like that, but this is the easiest way to get a lot of crit on this type of build. So as you can see, super simple, really easy. If you're going for suppress, which is what we were doing on this base, but we just ended up hitting flat decks and percent decks, so which is crazy. So ideally we would have hit suppress or physical damage reduction or something like that, but this, you know, this was, we couldn't pass this up, so this is what we're using for now, plus the T1 life and, you know, T2 armor evasion feels good. So this body armor hit pretty nice, but that's all you got to do. As far as Ralakesh, we use these because we're stacking frenzy, and then we also have, with our ascendancy, our maximum endurance matches our maximum frenzy. So I believe we have 7 at the moment, 7 or 8 frenzies, and so then we also match the endurance, and then we're just at the, you know, we're constantly at the max 3 power charges, because we don't boost that up at all. But you know, you get, I think it's 50% increased crit chance per power charge, so you're getting 150% increased critical strike chance just from your 3 power charges there. So these are really nice. Again, later into the league, about a divine and a half, nothing crazy. Cheaper than, you know, some Ellie resist boots, some really nice Ellie resist life boots and stuff like that. So these are nice. On our gloves, we actually hit these yesterday. These turned out pretty crazy, to be honest. You know, we elevated non-Val strike skills to additional targets, and then we Awakener's Orb the Frenzy over, and it just happened to hit T1 fire and culling strike, and then we just got lucky and slammed on T3 decks and then crafted on strength. So these hit really nice. Prior to those, we were using these ones. So again, nothing crazy. There was just some resistances. These were before I switched over to omniscience, so we did have resistances and stuff on them, but as you can see, I didn't Orb of Dominance, the non-Val strike skills and all that. So, but these are what we were using. So if you can just get your hand on an Awakener's Orb, you know, you can kind of make them and, you know, hope for the best. These ones hit really nice, and so we got lucky on this one. Again, headhunter, bunch of attributes, helpful with omniscience, and then, you know, headhunter's my favorite item in the game, so that's what we're doing. Helmet, we just bought a fractured strength. We used intelligence essences to just get some more attributes. Oh no, I'm sorry, we didn't. We used the mana reservation efficiency of skills, so we were using these essence of loathings, and it just, you know, happened to hit T2 intelligence, and then we crafted the rest using Eldritch Chaos and annuls and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, you could do it a multitude of ways. You could do, you know, suffixes cannot be changed, reforge life, you know, there's a million different ways. There is a video on my channel how to craft these helmets from last season, same process. So if you're interested in crafting one of these, just go check that video out. Omniscience, we allocate frenetic, which gives us our last power charge from the frenzy charge from the tree, and that's that. So that's the gear. As far as rings go, we have this one. that we crafted yesterday. It hit pretty nice. We got all those attributes, and then we used the quality attribute catalysts just to kind of boost those numbers up. But that's T1, and Essence. So these are, this turned out pretty nice. I'm happy with this. And then here, this ring could be replaced, but we have intelligence and accuracy. We need the accuracy, we need the life. The rest of it could go. So we'll eventually craft another one of these. But you're gonna need some accuracy on your rings. Maybe you could get them both. The issue is you need a ton of attributes because Paradoxica has such a high dex requirement that it's somewhat difficult to reach that dex requirement with Omniscience. So, it was necessary to have the triple attribute, but, again, maybe we could go double attribute here, accuracy, double attribute here, accuracy. That would probably be the better way to go, and then that would save us some points in our tree. So there's our items. Flasks, we just have, movement speed, quicksilver, reduce effective curses, and because our crit is so high, ideally we are on flask charge when you deal a crit. It keeps your flasks up a lot. Then we're using a series promise. Elemental damage is extra chaos, chaos damage leech, and then physical damage is extra chaos. We don't have a ton of fizz, but there's enough for it to, you get some level of benefit from this. Bottled faith, consecrated ground, damage, and then just increased crit strike chance on enemies that are on the consecrated ground. This flask, this could be a number of things. I think ideally this is Progenesis, so we'll probably save up and grab Progenesis here. But for now, Onslaught's nice, a bunch of attack speed, damage. But you could throw an Armour, you could throw Suppress and get some phasing out of it. Like this flask is can be whatever you want it to be. Does not have to be Onslaught. Our attack speed is so high that it's not super necessary. And then as far as our life flask, we are corrupt blood immune, and then while we're leeching, we're bleed immune. But instant flask is what we need, and eventually we may switch over to headsman. We'll see how that goes for the 20% culling. But you don't necessarily need bleed here if you have a corrupted blood jewel and you're leeching. So this could be hinder or something up, poison, something else. But the instant you definitely want. For life recovery, it just helps kind of that panic button to bring that life back. So now let's get into our tree. Well, real quick, again, we did Soul of Lunaris, and then we are on Soul of Aberath just for unaffected by burning ground, and you move faster and all that, so it's kind of nice. Ignite doesn't really matter. The rest of these, if there's something you prefer, by all means take it. This one's okay, Growth Coal, but Aberath, I like Aberath just because burning ground can be such a pain in the ass sometimes, especially if you're in a really juiced map. The damage can be really high from burning ground. So getting into the tree, we path down into here. Again, your pathing might be a little different as a league starter. I'm assuming most of you are not going to be league starting this next league or whatever. You could, but you probably wouldn't go crit right off the bat. You would probably be easier to start something else and then move into crit later. But what we do, we path down. We're going to take our leader of the pack or efficient mana reservation efficiency of skills, come down, life, dex node plus 5% attributes, leech, we get 10% insta here, we creep up, we take all the crit stuff for the sword, and then we take mana. You get 12% mana reservation efficiency of skills, and then mana on hit with attacks, reduce mana cost of attack. So it's pretty nice. It's at 23 mana per, and we have quite a bit of reduced mana cost of attack, so this attack is fairly expensive, so that's nice. We're using Intuitive Leap here so that we can kind of grab all these big nodes. I did use Unnatural Instinct here for a while, which was nice, but this kind of worked out a little bit better, and it's just a little bit more damage and stuff like that. So we went ahead and moved over to Intuitive Leap as opposed to, but Unnatural Instinct is also really, really powerful right here, so you can kind of make that decision for yourself. Our first cluster down here, we have Martial Momentum, Martial Prowess, and this is the big one. So Quick and Deadly, you want to try to have this on as many times you can. You definitely want it on both of your clusters. Before I switched to Omniscience, I was using this Megalomaniac, which had Quick and Deadly, Devastator, and Cold to the Core. So this was really nice because we were already stacking attributes, but we had not switched over to Omniscience yet. So this was super, super powerful. and just, you know, this was really nice. But so we did have 3 quick and deadlies on there, which, as you can see, you get increased 60% increased main hand attack damage while you have 2 different weapon types, and 30% increased offhand attack speed. So this node was almost built for this ability. So you want to have quick and deadly on there minimum twice. But again, you know, if you can squeeze in a megalomaniac or something like that, you know, that's also really nice. So again, on this side, we have Fuel the Flight, so we're leeching mana, and then we have Quick and Deadly. Our Watcher's Eye is Crit Strike Multi-Anger, Fizz as extra lightning while affected by Wrath. I think the ideal here would be Crit Strike Multi affected by Anger, Crit Strike Multi affected by Precision, or Attack Speed Precision would be, you know, the ideal, or, you know, in a perfect world, you'd have all 3 of those on an Uber Watcher's Eye. We have our Corrupted Blood here, Intelligence, Life, Crit Strike Multi, Dual Wielding, nothing crazy. Again, here are our Forbidden Flame, Forbidden Flesh for Determined Survivor, which gives us the block from Gladiator, which, you know, is a really powerful node. So 50% chance to block from equipped shield instead of shield's value. Inherent bonus from dual wielding are doubled. So that just helps us, you know, cap out our block, or get closer to capping out our block. You know, Life, Frenzy, melee damage, and then monsters cannot block your attacks. Before, I was running a bunch of T17s, and I didn't have +2 additional targets. I ran the non-val skills, strike additional enemy. Also, before, I had melee strike steals deal splash damage. We just took this whole node right here. But, you know, as you can see, you know, you pay 20 divine, but you get 4 points back, so that's up to you. You may want to, you know, you could always craft on attack speed or something here, and then keep this tree and move some things around. We do take 1 point here just for rage on melee hit. This helps us, you know, this in combination with whirling blades and rage support helps us get our rage up super fast. We're down here taking the champion of the cause. We use a bunch of auras and stuff like that, and we get a little more mana reservation, a little bit of life. We take the strength nodes, and then our last block nodes to, again, help us get us back to closer to cap. And then we're using a lethal pride. This one's pretty good. Melee damage, max life, % strength, % armor. You know, so this one turned out pretty nice. If you have mana regen, I did have Chainbreaker here. I just have hardly any mana regeneration, so this doesn't really do me any good. But yeah, so that's about it. That's the tree. And yeah, I think that is about it. We did Pantheon, we did the gear, and again, we can kind of just cruise through the POB real quick, so we can get rid of all of these. These are all sit in here from before. Life tap, onslaught. Oh, see our frenzies. We have 7. Endurance. We have 7. 3 power. Let's see, we don't have any of this stuff. Flask active, leeching, no mana burn, consecrated ground, chilled, etc., etc. Moving, bleeding, doesn't matter. Chilled, shocked, so I think you get, what, 4% by default. So again, we're now up to about, you know, 28k against, you know, guardian pinnacle bosses. You know, I didn't have everything exactly right, but I will put this in the description for the POB if you want to kind of look through it and check it out. But the build is fantastic. Like I said, it's one of my favorite builds I've ever done. Definitely my favorite melee build I've ever done. It is just absolutely a blast, super powerful. You know, as you can see, we cruised through a T17, no deaths in whatever 5-6 minutes. So so that's it, guys. If you guys have any questions, you know, put in the comments whatever you're thinking, or if you have a way to, you know, maybe even make this a little bit more powerful, please let me know. And like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. It's super helpful. And yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.